kids, I, for once, am stumped on how to talk about a film. Yeah. So we just got done screening Boy Kills World. And wow. This was different. This was weird. This was
not what we expected.
Nothing like what I was expecting at all. It's an experience. So before we get into much, so this is the standard revenge narrative that we've been seeing a lot lately. A young boy comes of age after his family's murdered, becomes a finely tuned, butt-kicking assassin. Killing machine. Bill Skarsgård. And then to kill the person who he believes was responsible for the death of his family. Yeah. Stuff happens. There's an ooh, what a twist.
What a twist!
And we're going to try to... Our goal will be to remain spoiler-free here.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of a big one. So there is that. And, for him to come out on the other side. Will he?
Yeah.
Who knows? Bill Skarsgård is the main lead here. We've got Famke Janssen.
Yeah.
Sharlto Copley. And a few others. This is a very fun cast.
Yep.
I believe this opens in theaters, this week. What do you think of this one?
Oh, I enjoyed this. So, it was very action-driven, which I liked. And it gave me a real Archer vibe, which non-surprisingly, the guy playing Archer was a lead narrator. And it just, It's hard to describe, but in those action parts, it was a lot of fun and even gory and even painful in some respects.
And I'm glad she brought up H. Jon Benjamin. He is very much a lead character here, but unseen. Skarsgård's character is mute, so essentially what is happening is Bill Skarsgård's character is talking through a video game character in his youth that
very video game.
This is very video game. I found it. Well, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the sense of humor immensely. I'm a big Archer watcher, so H. Jon Benjamin sounding very much like himself was a bit distracting.
Yeah,
because this is Archer. Because it sounds like Archer. It feels like Archer. The tone in his narration is very much Archer. And it's a brilliant choice.
Yeah.
It's funny. I can't think of anybody else who could do it right. But at the same time, it was very hard to separate.
Yeah.
This is incredibly high concept from start to finish.
Yeah.
There's strong video game elements in here. Anime. This is, like she said, hardcore, bloody action from start to finish. Very... The stunt, bravo to the stunt teams, bravo to the fight choreography.
And the special effects.
Yeah, these sequences were flawless, and Skarsgård does a heck of a job within it. I, for one, really liked the tone when it allowed itself to play in that kind of wacky, high-concept, video gamey type world.
Yeah.
I really struggled here when the narrative stepped back and slowed down. Especially when when the H. Jon Benjamin narration kind of disappeared. There was a little more talking, which is very much one-sided. Yeah. There wasn't as much to hold the attention, especially through the middle, I would say, of the second act.
Yeah.
Going into the third. It did slow down drastically, and it did not work as much for me as it did in probably the first hour, I would say, of the film. What do you think?
Well, I think it's I enjoyed the aspects in which, in which John H. Benjamin, or whatever his
H.
name,
John Benjamin.
H. John Benjamin. Pardon my dyslexia. So like he indeed at least helped some of the what would have been like a almost silent screen acting.
Yes.
I think for when he was there, it actually helped. Although Bill Skarsgård was excellent at, because like in one scene there was like two characters are talking to Bill Skarsgård, and Bill Skarsgård is deaf and mute, and though he can read lips. And he's trying to follow them, but at the same time, he doesn't understand what one of them is saying. And at the same time, there is an imaginary character sitting to Bill's left or something, and talking to him too. And at the same time, he has to talk to himself, try to figure out what's going on, and at the same time talk to the other character, which was very, very funny and very well put together. So, yeah.
Now, I think, and like these moments that the character that the boy, Skarsgård's character's name is the boy, can't understand it's a great choice. This story is very much told from his perspective. So there's moments where you hear Archer, for lack of a better word, in your head going, is he mumbling? Is he speaking in a different language? What's going on here?
Yeah.
So it's very much this silly, fast, quippy, video gamey, internet, almost meme kind of culture throughout the first hour. But then the film pulls back and gets a lot more serious, gets a lot more straight.
Yeah.
It's a tale of two movies.
Yeah.
I thought. And while I was very much surprisingly in there for the Archer stuff.
Yeah.
The Archer tone. I love the show, so
Yeah.
it worked for me. Yeah. The transition going from that silliness to the slightly more subdued stuff between the action sequences and towards the end of the middle was a hard transition for me to make. And this is going to be a film that is going to, I think, really work for some and really not work for others. The tone of really that first hour is going to crack people up like it did for me, or it's going to really alienate people. That's, if you're not vibing with that wisecracking Archer kind of tone, it is not going to work for you at all. Some people are probably going to find the first act and a half of this really obnoxious. But it's fast, it's action, it's very bloody. This is like John Wick, Deadpool levels of action.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How'd you feel about the action stuff?
I thought it went down very well. Yep.
There were points where we're both going,
That's painful. Painful.
The pain. How many
Macaroons.
Yes, how many macaroons would you give this one?
I would give it 4 out of 5, I would say.
Okay, I'm torn between I'm going to settle. I'm going to go right in the middle of between my two and say 3.75.
Yeah.
Incredibly fun, but just that tonal shift was just very hard for me to make. But stylistically, this is fun. Writing wise, this is incredibly fun. If you gel with this tone, you're going to really enjoy this one, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone, and thanks for joining us here at Piercing Cinema. Have a good one all.
Yeah.